Morning. It is Friday the 7th of January. So today is fabric cutting out day, which I'm super excited about. I have my fabric here all nice and washed, and I would say pressed, but I didn't. I just tumble dried it and hung it up. So I didn't have to iron it, but all my fabric's ready to go. So I'm going to spend the morning cutting out the fabric, and I want to try and get the bodice complete today. If I can get the skirt done as well, happy days. But it's not going to be as quick as the mock-up was because I've got to work with lining as well, so it's double the workload. So anyway, that's the plan for this morning. I hope you're all well. It's absolutely freezing outside, and I'm going to get started. All my pattern pieces are now cut out and ready to go, so I'm going to start working on the bodice and see how far we get. It's 1:45 in the afternoon at the moment, so I think I can probably get the majority of the bodice done by probably 4 o'clock, because like I said, I'm a slow sewer. So anyway, that's the plan, and let's get started. I've attached the ties at the back, and I'm not sure I like them. They're really chunky, but unfortunately that's the nature of the fabric, and there's not an awful lot I can do about that. So I'm going to go with it and just see how it turns out. Hopefully it won't look so bad once the rest of the dress is put together. So the bodice is now pretty much assembled, as you can see there. I've got to do the exact same thing with the lining, other than the tabs at the back. I don't obviously have to do those. So I'm going to go away and press all these seams open and do the lining as well. And then I think it'll be time to crack on with the skirt, which I am in danger of actually being able to start today.
Oh, you think so?
As it is only 2:30. So yeah, we're making progress, we're getting somewhere, and I'm really excited. It is 3:30 and I now have the bodice lining done as well, with all the seams ironed. So I'm quite happy with that. The next port of call is to do the sleeves. So I think I'm gonna try and get them done and then potentially call it a day for today and pick this up tomorrow. I'm gonna see how long it takes me. The sleeves don't have to be lined, so it should be a fairly quick procedure. And then I think once the sleeves are in, then we need to attach the lining, which is going to take a little bit longer because I believe there's some hand sewing involved. I did actually think if I got the sleeves in, I could get the lining in, and then I could sit tonight and watch some telly and hand stitch the sleeves in. So we'll see. I'm not quite sure whether I'm going to stop at the sleeves or if I'm just gonna put the lining in so that I have something to do tonight, so that I'll be one step ahead for tomorrow, which is what I'm leaning towards, I think. So I'm going to crack on with the sleeves, and then I'll catch up with you in a little bit. Today is actually Wednesday, the 12th of January. Now, I had every intention of picking this up on Saturday. However, personal reasons, we've had some issues at home, so was unable to do that. But never mind, it's there's no deadline for this. So what we've got so far is we've got the lining put in and the armholes are finished. I actually secured the armhole, the lining and the bodice with a single stitch around, and then I just got my serger out and I just serged around the edges there. Now, I'm not too happy with the finish, to be honest. I probably would have preferred the sleeves to be lined as well, so that it looked a lot nicer on the inside. But that's something to remember for next time. I think that's probably something I'm going to do personally, so that it just finishes up inside and looks like a lot nicer and neater anyway. But that's just my personal preference. So today we're going to work on the skirt, hopefully get this finished depending on well, time and how far we get. So without further ado, let's crack on with the skirt. Now, I apologise for the lighting because it's glaring through the window, but what we have here is the two front parts of the skirt. So that's the front piece and that's the front piece, and we need to attach the lining, and how we're going to do that is we're going to do it down the centre front. So I need to get my corresponding lining pieces, which is this one here and this one to here, and then we're going to line them up and stitch down the front and then understitch them to keep them from flipping out and being seen on the right side, and then we can start attaching the other pieces. For the light, I moved into the kitchen because I'm really fighting with the sunlight coming through my windows, but it is the same in the kitchen. So the skirt is all done, it's lined, I've put it all together, and I've overlocked the edges to keep them from fraying. I also went ahead and overlocked the bottom of the skirt just to true it up, because some of my skirt panels were a bit longer than others. So now it is time to get this bad boy attached to the bodice, then it's hem, buttons and buttonholes. So that's what we're going to do now. I now have the skirt attached to the bodice, and I've tried it on and I'm quite happy with the fit. The only issue is this like bubbling I'm having at the bottom when I have it on, this bit here, and I think it's caused by the weight of these tabs, because I never had it on the mock-up and it feels like it's hitting me at the right point. So I do generally think it is because of this weight here that's kind of pushing this out at the bottom. But then I think once the strap, the bit for the back is in, it won't really be that noticeable. So that's where we're at now. This fabric, as lovely as it is, has been a bit of a nightmare to work with. It likes to stretch out quite a bit. So when I was putting the skirt on, it was matching perfectly and then starts going skew-whiff where it's stretched out, and I've had to try and crumple the fabric back up again to get it to fit. So I tried with my iron just to steam it a little bit to get it to shrink back to where it was, and it worked to some extent, but it's not perfect. But anyway, this is where we're at the moment. So I'm gonna let the skirt, well, the dress hang for 24 hours before I hem it. So I'm going to leave that here for today, and then tomorrow I'm just going to be doing all the finishing touches. So gonna hem up the sleeves, hem up the bottom, and put the buttons and buttonholes in, and we can call this project done. So I will see you tomorrow. Good morning. Today is Thursday the 13th of January, and today is the day that we're actually going to get this finished. Now, I know I've said that before, but today is actually going to be the day we're going to do it. So I've left it hanging for about 12 hours. It hasn't been 24 hours, but I just want to get this project done. So today's jobs is to hem the bottom, hem the sleeves, and put the buttons and buttonholes in. So I'm gonna get to that now, and then we can jump to the reveal, which I'm excited to get done. So without further ado, I guess we better hem this thing. The hemming is now done. Now, I've got to say, this fabric is not the most fun to hem. It is not going to be my neatest stitching either. It's a little bit wonky. It's really thick as well. I had to double stitch it down there. It's not my neatest work. This fabric is actually really hard to work with. It seemed easy to begin with, which I think led me into a false sense of security. But when I come to hem it, this hem is thick, real thick, and it's quite bouncy. So yeah, I'm just gonna go with it. I've double stitched it down, and the same with the sleeves as well. That's got a narrower hem on it, but it is still quite puffy, should we say. So I think that's only going to get worse as well once I wash it and it kind of all shrinks back into itself. But I think that's just part of the fabric, and I'm hoping that once it's washed and dried again, all this will shrink back to that more scrunched waffle, and you won't be able to tell. So the last port of call is to do the buttonholes, and I'm really nervous because this fabric, I have a feeling, is not going to like buttonholes, and it's not very forgiving if you make a mistake on it. So all I can do is hope and pray. I'm going to mark out the buttons now. I haven't done that yet, and yeah, just fingers crossed these buttonholes go okay, because I'm going to be really devastated if I've done all this work just to ruin it at the very end. So I guess let's go do some buttonholes. So I'm just about to mark out my buttonhole placement. So you want your buttonholes on the right side for ladies and left for men. So I've got like roughly where I want the buttonholes to sit when I was putting it on myself. So these are the buttons that I have for it. So I roughly want one there, one a bit further down, etc, etc. But so to make sure that these are spaced out nice and evenly, I have my button and buttonhole gauge. So I'm going to kind of like place possibly my first 1 or 2 and then measure it from there. So I open this out like so. And then I want, if I can open it out some more. This is really hard to do with one hand. So what I want to do is have these lined up roughly, and then I will pull this down to match up the other ones. So that's what I'm going to do now. I think this is potentially going to be too close, so I'm just going to open it up a bit wider and have a look. So I think I have my buttonhole and button gauge spaced apart the way I want it. So what I need to work out is how far down I want the buttons to go as well. I'm going to quickly mark on this dress the placement of the buttons. So what I do is I put a little pen line at the top and a little pen line at the bottom, and then I can draw a straight line in between, and that's how I mark my buttonholes. There's lots of different ways of doing it, but that's how I do it, and this is obviously how I decide how far apart I want them. So now's the job of marking all these on, and then fingers crossed the buttonholes go all right. And then obviously the buttons will go on this side, but that'll be much easier to do. So yeah, let's do some buttonholes. All of the buttonholes are done, and I've popped a pin where I want this to overlap to. So now I'm going to go in with a fabric marker and I'm going to dot in the middle of these buttonholes to mark my button placement. Then we attach these, put the cording in the back, and we are good to go. So it is finally finished. I am really happy with how this dress came out. Now, there are a few things that I would be aware of if you have a bigger bust. I definitely cut out the size C to D in cups, and I still had to do a full bust adjustment. But other than that, the pattern came together really nicely and really easily. My fabric choice made things a little bit tricky when it came to doing the hem and attaching the lining to this actual fabric, because although this is not an actual stretch fabric, because it's a double gauze and it's quite waffly, it does stretch out when you cut it at the edges. But other than that, it's been a dream to sew. I definitely have plans to make another one of these. I really wish that I had enough fabric in the Swiss dot fabric to make this again. Now that I've shortened the pattern skirt I might do. I'm gonna have to double check. I am not too worried about the back anymore because now that I've got it tied up, you can't really tell. So I'm quite happy how that came out. But yeah, overall I really love this pattern. I can see myself getting lots of wear out of it, and I've definitely got plans to make some more. It's really nice and comfortable, and I want to have somewhere to wear it now. So I will put in a video clip of me wearing it so you can see the dress in all its glory, and I'll see you next time. Bye.